All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Fantasy Sports Boss with Fantasy Football Live. It is Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, and it's Waiver Wire Tuesday. And I don't know if you guys saw, I also posted the All Bust team video probably about an hour ago. I actually forgot that I was uploading it. That's why there was no title and no picture to it when I initially put it up there, but I fixed that now. And so that video is available for you guys to see now. Now, of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification button as well. Lots of transactions going on around the NFL today as we have, bye week Armageddon, scores of big name players on bye weeks this week, not to mention all the injuries that are just continually throwing the fantasy football season into pure chaos. Obviously the most pertinent right now is the status of Christian McCaffrey with the 49ers playing on Monday night. That's adds a little extra layer of frustration, not really knowing what his situation is right now. Trevor Lawrence, limited in practice today, wore a knee brace. Of course, has only one more practice day to go before they play the Saints on Thursday. I figure he's about 50-50 to go as well. And he holds the fantasy football value of, Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley in his grasp, right? So, it should be interesting to see what happens there. And as far as McCaffrey is concerned, so both McCaffrey and Debo, no long-term injury questions in terms of them being out for an extended time. I think Debo is more likely to play than McCaffrey. But again, it's a Monday night game. So if you're a McCaffrey owner, you almost have to get Jordan Mason off of waivers. If you don't have Jordan Mason, and Jamal Williams designated to return from IR, and he was limited today for the Saints. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you don't get Jordan Mason off waivers, you have to put McCaffrey in your flex spot and then have a backup, somebody you could throw into that flex spot, in his place. I don't know who it could be. Options are slim at that point, but I think we would have a better idea as to whether McCaffrey is going to go or not. And it's the really difficult thing too is that you don't want to ever miss any game where McCaffrey is going to be playing, right? So if he's playing Monday night, but you're nervous about, so let's say it's a game time decision and you don't have any viable replacement to put in the flex for Monday night, you're going to have to gamble and either just go all in hoping he plays, or you just bench him and just go with somebody else. Results be damned on Monday. So, like I said, I think he's more dicey than Trevor Lawrence. I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to play. The fact that he was out there with a knee brace and did some limited work is a good sign. And Lawrence is a guy who just doesn't miss games, right? I mean, there are certain players around the league when they get dinged up, they're going to miss games. Well, Lawrence doesn't seem to be the type that ever really misses games. So, I think there's a good chance that he plays. So, hey, Justin, how are you? Yes, Jermaine Shanahan, Debo, they might play. I think Debo, like I said, more likely than Sanders. So Darrell Henderson signs with the Rams practice squad today. Leonard Fournette worked out for the Bills, did not sign a contract with them. Julio Jones signs with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, there's no actionable fantasy football move to make. Julio Jones hasn't been relevant for, about 3 or 4 years now. But listen, if he can soften up the defense even more for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who's had a really tough go of it, and Devontae Smith made my all-bust team in that video that I posted before, I think it can't hurt, right? There's at least something to gain and really nothing to lose by signing Julio Jones at this point. So, why not? And as far as Darrell Henderson, he has no value, but he knows the system. And obviously, Kyren Williams, that pretty much confirms that he's not going to play this week with an ankle injury. Unless this be a reminder to the Rams that somebody of Kyren Williams' size should not be getting 20-plus carries or 20-plus touches each and every week. And that's why, to me, it was no surprise that he wound up getting hurt. So Chris Olave, we're going to go through the injury report first. Oh, by the way, so last night, the Dallas Cowboys did knock off the Chargers. I was wrong about that game. I picked the Chargers. Keenan Allen once again was a monster, and Keenan Allen has been unbelievable. Like, the guy is probably the best pure route runner in football. He doesn't have great speed, but he is a tactician. He knows how to continually get open, and Justin Herbert is feeding him an unbelievable amount of targets. And even Josh Palmer got unlucky. He had a touchdown early on that was negated by penalty. And my God, there were so many penalties in that game. It was ridiculous to watch. But Josh Palmer, I think, and I'm rolling with him in one of my leagues this week. And by the way, that team I was telling you about that's injury ravaged, I have a 28% chance to win this week right now. Like that, there's just no way I can win this week with that team. DJ Moore, panic mode? It might be. Without Justin Fields, it's definitely panic mode. And I don't think he's going to play this week, Justin Fields. And Daniel Jones is not going to play again for the Giants either. But anyway, getting back to that game. So Keenan Allen is eating a lot. Austin Eckler did not have a good game. That's a very tough Dallas defense. I think Eckler only had 10-plus fantasy points, but he's going to be just fine. I'm not worried about him. CeeDee Lamb, 17-plus, which is good. He's only got one touchdown, which is frustrating. Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup getting more targets than we anticipated. Ferguson, I don't even know if Ferguson caught a pass last night. Tony Pollard was decent, but still, Tony Pollard has not exactly met those grandiose expectations that he had coming into the season. Maybe I was a little bit over the top, some of these predictions on him. So, as far as the waiver wire, I'm going to go into that in just a little bit after I go through the injury report, Zamora. But I do like Jordan Mason better than I like Elijah Mitchell. So Chris Olave limited. He's still nicked up a little bit. Not saying that's why he's been struggling lately, although he was good week 6. But he's limited today. Juwan Johnson did not practice. And the only reason why I mentioned Juwan Johnson is that Taysom Hill had 7 catches last week. So at a tight end position, and Taysom Hill's always intriguing because of all the things he does, throwing it, running it, catching it. If he's catching, 5, 6, 7 passes, and listen, the Saints throw it for over 50 times. So that definitely helped Taysom Hill compile the numbers that he did. But at least would make him mildly interesting. Myles Gaskin signed also with the Rams. So they're bringing in reinforcements. So, if the rookie there on the Rams, Evans, I think that I wouldn't go crazy picking him up. He didn't catch hardly any passes in college. He was sort of a committee back in college, a decent runner. But I think the fact that the Rams signed Henderson, they signed Myles Gaskin, I don't think they're going to be using, the rookie there that much to where he's warranted to make a early, a lot of fab money or a high waiver priority on him. All right, what else is going on here today? Kenyon Drake was released, so no issue there. Zay Jones did nothing today. Zay Jones just cannot get over these injuries. We talked about Trevor Lawrence. James Robinson signed with the Green Bay Packers. So James Robinson continues with his tour around the NFL. Trace McSorley signs with the Bears. So a lot of signings today with all the injuries, and nothing else really beyond that. Say Deontay Johnson could return. David Montgomery, we don't know what his situation. He's not going to probably play this week. High ankle sprain for Ryan Tannehill. He does not need surgery. But you're not playing any of the Tennessee Titans this week anyway. It's just not worth it. I mean, there's just no reason to do that. For the team is so bad with Malik Willis that there's no reason to even bother picking up anybody in this offense. And even Derrick Henry, I think the Titans are 1 or 2 losses away to having a real serious discussion about trading Derrick Henry. So anyway, so let's get to the waiver wire this week. As we do, we always start with the quarterbacks. And, listen, if CJ Stroud is still available in your league, I think CJ Stroud is somebody you have to pick up. It's probably last call on him. Same thing with Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell absolutely has a great matchup against the Giants this week. I think Sam Howell should be picked up, and he should be used liberally. He's only 38% owned right now. 290 yards in 3 games, multiple touchdowns. He's doing it all. Like, he's putting up 25-plus fantasy points a week, and they're throwing it a lot more than I anticipated. Sam Howell's a top 12 quarterback. Liked him coming into the season. He's justifying the positive expectations I had for him coming into the season. So safe to drop Quentin Johnson. Yeah, no, I would cut bait on him. I don't think there's any reason to bother. So Desmond Ridder, I mean, they're opening up a little bit in Atlanta, and that at least gives you some hope if you're a Drake London or Kyle Pitts owner, because both of those guys have been really good the last 2 weeks. Ritter's got Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been decent, but they're not a defense that you fear. So again, if you're really hurting for a quarterback, and there's going to be no Daniel Jones this week with injury, no Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence, I think, will go, but he's beat up. We're still out Anthony Richardson. We're not going to have, a lot of guys, Dak Prescott, a lot of guys that are on a bye this week. So it's a real tough situation. There's a lot of slim pickings. Now, as far as the running backs, so to me, Jordan Mason is the number one option. I think Jordan Mason is the number one guy altogether. But there's also can be frustration here because we don't know how much work Elijah Mitchell is going to get. All right. And also Christian McCaffrey could play. So if you want to take a pass on Jordan Mason, even though he is to me the number one guy this week in waivers, I wouldn't object to it. Right. Unless you have a real crying need, or if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, you should have owned Jordan Mason anyway by this point as your handcuff. I would be a little bit more aggressive, but Jordan Mason to me is not worth the fab money, considering this is probably only going to be a 1 week thing if McCaffrey does sit. And and again, we don't know how much work Elijah Mitchell is going to get as well. I much prefer Craig Reynolds. Even if Jahmyr Gibbs comes back this week, like Dan Campbell hinted at, I think Craig Reynolds has proven in the past, not only can he run it, but he can catch the ball. He got 43 snaps last week. He was pretty much out there every play. The Lions are all about the committee back. They want a pure runner, which Reynolds is compared to Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is a glorified third down back, as I've been saying all along. Yeah, I would be more inclined to pick up Craig Reynolds than I would Jordan Mason. I didn't know. That's not true. He's not confirmed playing. There's hope that he's going to play. So there's no confirmation on that yet. Zach Evans, again, I said at the top of the show, Zach Evans is just a speculative play. He didn't catch a lot of passes in college. He was a backup at TCU and Ole Miss. Not known for his receiving, fairly decent runner. But again, they signed Myles Gaskin. They signed Darrell Henderson. I don't think they're just going to give Zach Evans all the carries. So I'm not picking him up. And believe me, I could use all the help I could get on one of my teams. I'm not picking up Zach Evans. Keontae Ingram is mildly interesting to me because he got all the majority of the touches over DeMarcado. I told you last week to be careful, DeMarcado, because I wasn't sure that he was going to be the guy after, Keontae Ingram was listed as the running back 1 after James Conner got hurt. Ingram can catch the ball. He's got decent ability as far as a runner. Again, if you're desperate, it's an ugly situation. Arizona is now really kind of becoming the team that we expected all along in terms of struggles. I'd much prefer Kareem Hunt, who's owned in about 40% of leagues. So Kareem Hunt, who's really starting to increase his snap share. And here's the other thing. So Jerome Ford's playing fairly well, but, Kareem Hunt was about at 9-10 PPR fantasy points when he was only playing 30% of the snaps when Nick Chubb was healthy. Now with no Nick Chubb there, Hunt is up to about 40% of the snaps. So now we can extrapolate and give him 14, 15 PPR points if all breaks right. So I think Kareem Hunt is a really, really good play this week. As a matter of fact, I think he's the top play over Jordan Mason because, Jerome Ford, we don't know about his durability. He's a smaller back. I think Kareem Hunt knows the system. He's playing well now. He played well last week. I would be fairly aggressive on him. And even Ezekiel Elliott. I know Ramondre Stevenson played well last week, but Ezekiel Elliott still is getting a fairly decent amount of touches. Picked up Sam Howell. Also intrigued by the matchup for Jordan Love. No, you got to go Sam Howell against the Giants, I think. And listen, Sam Howell's been doing it for weeks now. Like he's been begging to be picked up, and I think he's your guy this week. Trying to trade for any Jacoby Myers, Marquise Brown, and Drake London. I would rank them in probably Myers, Drake, and then Brown. I mean, again, the Cardinals are really falling off the map now. They're probably going to they want Caleb Williams. I think if you give any truth serum to anybody in that front office, they want Caleb Williams. So I don't think the Cardinals are going to try very hard the rest of the way. And that's going to hurt Marquise Brown. But I do, listen, Jacoby Myers has been money all year. Now, as far as the wide receivers, Jamison Williams only owned in about half the leagues. Big play waiting to happen. Now, he's more of a standard league guy than a PPR. He's not going to catch a lot of passes in an offense with Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and to a lesser extent, Josh Williams, and even Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. So Jameson Williams he's big play dependent. He's touchdown dependent, but the athleticism is off the charts. And again, if he did not get hurt, he was the number one wideout in his draft class, hands down. Josh Downs, 38% owned. From this point forward, he's going to be peppered with targets by Gardner Minshew. Him and Michael Pittman. It's a very narrow target tree in Indianapolis. They don't have a pass-catching tight end. Alec Pierce is hurt, so it's going to funnel between Downs and Michael Pittman. And Downs has been, a 9 to 12 PPR guy, sometimes as high as 16, depending on how the game goes. And I'm using him as a flex this week. Last call on Rashee Rice. He's only at about 50%, which is amazing to me. Like he's now over 50% of snaps. I think Justin Watson's out this week. That's going to help him even more. And Andy Reid knows he's got a real talent on his hands. He's going to use him more and more. And finally, Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, you don't want any shares of this Giants offense if you can help it. But Wan'Dale Robinson, even last year, was really good on a per snap basis. He's being used out of the slot. He's actually playing about 90% of the snaps now. High amount of targets. If Tyrod Taylor's playing again, Taylor doesn't throw down the field, so I think this is a good matchup in a PPR league. And finally, I don't know, check for Curtis Samuel. He's take away those touchdowns the last couple of weeks. He's just been okay, but they use him on jet sweeps. He's catching more passes than Jahan Dotson. I think he's worth the pickup as well. Dak highly doubted this past week. Also, it's my matchup starting Stroud. Yeah, you know what? I'm not a Dak fan, even though it was a decent game for him as well. Taylor over Jones. Yes. Yeah, Taylor over Jones. Expect Kyler Murray soon. If they want to trade him, teams will see what he has. Won't make sure. A lot of money on that contract. I don't know if there's an out. I know the Giants have an out on Daniel Jones after next year, which is something that now looks more and more likely to happen, especially if he's got a neck injury. Rashee Rice, really, really intriguing. Yes, I own him and I'm playing him. All right, as far as tight ends, so Taysom Hill, 10% owned, career high in targets. We're not going to see Juwan Johnson again this week. And, the fact that he can also run the ball and throw it makes him at tight end useful again this week. Michael Mayer on the upswing. So Michael Mayer was very frustrating that he wasn't getting any targets, really wasn't getting a lot of usage early on in the season, despite all the talent that he has coming out of Notre Dame. It is a tight end factory, that school. Mayer looks good. He's a run after the catch guy too. He doesn't have like pure athleticism. He's not a burner. He's not the athlete that Dalton Kincaid is, but Mayer's starting to find his footing now. Don't love the offense. You saw Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers there and Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, but Michael Mayer deserves our attention. Jonnu Smith, 20% owned. I mean, he's been good for a really long time now. So Jonnu Smith is somebody that you could pick up as well. And then if you need a kicker, Joey Sly, the Commanders, they're taking on the Giants this week. I think that's a good that's a fairly good matchup for him there in terms of accumulating points. Have D. Montgomery so torn picking up Reynolds or Zach Evans. I'm picking up Reynolds. I'm in the same situation, Ronald. I'm picking up Craig Reynolds. So that one team I'm injury ravaged on. So I'm 5-1, right? I was 5-0. I got my doors blown off last week. My starting lineup right now, and I have a 28% chance of winning this week, is Jalen Hurts at quarterback. My receivers are Tyler Lockett, KJ Osborne, and Josh Palmer. Right? My running backs are Isaiah Pacheco and Justice Hill. My tight end's Darren Waller. My flex is Josh Downs. Like, bad, guys. Real bad. On my bench, injured, David Montgomery, Tank Dell, or on a bye. Justin Jefferson, James Conner. I already lost Mike Williams. I have CeeDee Lamb on a bye. So, this is all the shit that I'm dealing with that one league. It's frustrating. That's why I have a 28% chance to win this week. It's unbelievable. I never thought in a million years I'd be in this position after being 5-0, where I'm pretty much guaranteed now to be 5-2. And then I play the best team in the league next week. So I'll probably be 5-3. Would you flex Watson over Rice? No. Nope. I'm riding and dying with Rashee Rice. I'm sorry. I'm just doing it. Would you roll with Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield? I'm going Carr because I don't think Daniel Jones is playing. He's still having, the word here out of New York is that he's still having issues with the neck. And like I said yesterday on the show yesterday, I don't like what I'm hearing when it comes to Daniel Jones. Not saying he's at a situation where he's going to have to make a really tough decision about his career, but it's the second time he's had a neck injury. Anytime you're dealing with a neck, it's very scary. I'm not liking what I'm hearing right now about his situation. Ready to drop Tyler Bass for Aubrey. Yeah, Aubrey's been really good. I don't deal with a lot of kickers anymore because in both of my leagues, we don't have a kicker. And I really suggest you guys do that next year if you're in a private league. No more kickers. Hey, Rise, how are you? Should I start Ridley on Thursday or bench him for Addison or Rashid Rice? I mean, if Lawrence is playing, I still would go Ridley. If he's out, then definitely bench him for Addison. That would be my option there. But, Ridley it pained me to say to do this, but I put Ridley on the all bust team. I had to. He just hasn't been good. 3 good games, 3 bad games, right? It's massive inconsistency. And you know what? Perhaps we should have seen this because, on a team like the Eagles that has a very restricted target share, right? It's A.J. Brown, it's Devontae Smith, it's Dallas Goedert. That's it, right? And it's usually only 2 of the 3 because they run it a lot. On the Jaguars, you have Christian Kirk, you have Calvin Ridley, you have Evan Engram, you have Zay Jones, you have Travis Etienne out of the backfield. That's 5 guys that deserve the attention of Trevor Lawrence. So that's something we need to pay attention to next year, guys. If there's a lot of weapons like in Jacksonville, and whoever we think the wide receiver 1 is in that offense, we might need to be a little bit more, conservative when drafting them. And the other thing is, if there's new offensive coordinators, we need to do a long audit on the team. Case in point, the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles offense went swimmingly all last year with Shane Steichen, right? He leaves, takes a head coaching job, and now it's been a struggle. It's been bad all year pretty much for the Eagles, right? Jalen Hurts looks like shit against the Jets. Devontae Smith not doing anything. Dallas Goedert really quiet start to the season. The offense is just not cohesive right now. And it's really hurting the fantasy value of Goddard, of Smith. It hurts to an extent, not A.J. Brown because he's been awesome. But we need to look at that. New offensive coordinators, that might have a detrimental effect, especially early on players. It's not a linear thing, right? We all drafted Devontae Smith thinking he was going to be a stud again this year. But new offensive coordinator, that's something that maybe we should have paid a little bit more attention to. The bits just dropped on the stream. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, man, Ronald, I'm in big trouble. 5-0, and I'm going to probably be 5-3. The only hope I have is that Jefferson comes back. James Conner will get back eventually, but man, it's tough. Would you drop Quentin Johnson? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Drop Quentin Johnson. There's no point waiting for him anymore. Yeah, he was limited, but the fact that he was even out there, and Trevor Lawrence is always going to play. It's the coaches that are going to have to tell him no. My team's Herbert, Kyron, who's hurt, Pollard, who's off. Wow. Aaron Jones, Ford, Kupp, Chase, Ayuk, Flowers. Really, it looks like a good team to me, though. Trade offer of Flowers and Ford for JT. Should I accept it? You need him, it looks like. You have Kupp, Chase, Ayuk. Yeah, I think I would do that. Maybe try Gavin before. Keep the offer up. Offer that same deal for maybe a better. JT is good, but maybe offer that for like Josh Jacobs or, maybe Barkley. So let's see if you can get that done before you accept that, because I'm not a big JT guy. I have to be honest with you. Giants and Raiders worth the stream this week. In terms of the defense, definitely not the Giants. No. Raiders, maybe. Would you trade Ridley for Devontae Smith? That I probably would do because I think Devontae Smith will be fine. He's just going through a little bit of a slump. Thoughts on Singletary taking Pierce's job? He's making a move. All along we're saying, the offensive line, which is bad, right? It's not good in Houston. But Singletary played well behind that same line on week 6. And Singletary's been a fairly capable running back, guys. He's averaged about 4.5 a carry for his career, which is not bad, and he can catch the ball as well. Just read CMC avoided a serious injury. He has a chance to play. Right, he's not guaranteed to play. He has a chance to play. But again, complicates things because he's got the Monday game. You have to put him in the flex and have a viable backup. Hopefully you have somebody else that you could put in there in case he doesn't go. I know Reynolds' dad. Oh, okay. How do you know him from? Ertz or Jonnu Smith rest of season. Jeez, I never thought I'd be answering that question. I would have to say Jonnu Smith based on what we're seeing. Should I do Ridley? I don't know. I don't think so. No, I would keep Ridley. What kicker would you rather have rest of season? I like the guy on Dallas. He's been really, really good. Drop Logan Thomas. Yeah, Logan Thomas, what a dud he was. You might as well. Like, Jonnu Smith has been doing it long enough now where we have to take notice, right? I mean, they're using the tight end set exclusively. You don't trust anybody in this offense, really. But Jonnu Smith, believe it or not, on an offense with Bijan Robinson, let's be real. Bijan Robinson has not run the ball well the last couple of weeks, and he's being saved by the receptions. The most consistent player in this Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London offense has been Jonnu Smith. His dad is the dean at my school. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. All right, that's a pretty prestigious position. Would you pick up Jordan Mason if it meant dropping Romeo Doubs in order to start him over Najee Harris? I don't know. Dobbs has been really good that last game notwithstanding. Probably not. I don't think so, because it's only going to be a 1 week thing anyway. So you're going to trade him Ridley, but I just hold him for now. Yeah, no, the value is very low on Ridley. You got to wait for, like, the window to trade him was after the Buffalo game. No, yeah. But you know what? I'm trying to buy low on Ridley, believe it or not. Start Gus Edwards or Ingram this week. Gus Edwards. I don't trust anybody in Atlanta offense. Yeah, no, there's just nobody in this Atlanta offense is good. But, if they get a quarterback next year, look out. That's going to raise the value of everybody. Who do you suggest for running back? Foreman, Elijah Mitchell, Mason, Brees is on the bye. Yeah, that's a big one. Bijan is number one. I'd have to go maybe Foreman because he's going to get a lot of touches. Musgrave or Jonnu rest of season. I'd have to say Jonnu. Can't believe I'm still saying this. James Cook for Higgins. No, I don't want Higgins. Who you do Ridley for? Would you do Ridley for JT 1-for-1? That I may do, yeah, because I think Ridley, he'll be okay, but I think JT's best games are ahead of him. My suck of the week was probably T. Higgins. Atlanta gets a QB, it's over in my opinion. Yeah, listen, if they get a QB with all of this high-end offense that they have, and I don't know who's a free agent. Maybe I can look up who's a free agent. I'm curious to see. I think Ridley will turn it around. I get more questions on Calvin Ridley than I get on just about any player. I think he'll be okay, but I don't think it's a linear thing. The consistency we all thought he would be as the wide receiver one is probably not going to be in the cards. Charles Lockett. I'm going to go Lockett on that one. Would you do Olave for JT? No, I would not do that. No, I'm riding and dying with Chris Olave. I'm totally riding and dying with Chris Olave. But Derek Carr has not been the answer. He hasn't been that good. He just hasn't. So James Cook, somebody brought up James Cook. So, he's been bad the last couple of weeks. And he had that little spurt, weeks 2, 3, and 4. I'm not going to say I'm right on this. I've gone back and forth on this. They don't use him around the goal line. So right away, that's a negative for his value. James Cook also has never been a bell cow back, even going back to college. I feel like they were trying to force it with him the last, week, earlier in the season, weeks 2, 3, and 4. We're seeing diminishing returns now with James Cook. I don't know if he's getting tired. Again, he's never had this kind of work before. He's not being used as much in the passing game as we would like, especially lately. He's not getting goal line work. Latavius Murray is going to get all that. If they bring in Leonard Fournette, that's just another indictment that they don't think he can be the guy. So, I'm a little bit, and JK, I would stash Josh Downs. I'm not liking what we're seeing with James Cook right now. You think Higgins will turn it around? I'm not sure. He doesn't look good. I know he's a free agent to be. Maybe he's distracted. The ribs are hurting. Who knows? All right, Julio Jones off the waiver against Miami this week. No, definitely not. I mean, we're not using Julio Jones. All right, Jermaine Robinson, $5 super chat. Thank you, Jermaine. I really, really appreciate that. You're always very supportive to the channel. Thank you very much for that generous super chat. Thank you, as always. Thoughts on Derek Carr next 4 matchups are favorable? I mean, he's just been all right. It's hard to get excited for Derek Carr. He doesn't run. He's not helping Olave as much as we thought. So I'm not really I'm not really keen on him right now. Yeah, don't play Julio. Just don't do it. Ignore the name. Hawkinson's been disappointing so far. You know what? It's funny. Like TJ Hawkinson, it's funny you mentioned that, Tamar, because I was looking at his numbers to maybe try to make a buy low maybe on him. You're right. His numbers are not that great. Like he's had quite a bit of duds this year, even though the targets have been plentiful. He should get a lot of targets this week against the top 49ers defense. And it's been disappointing overall. You're right. I thought he would be better. Your thoughts on Zach Evans this week, Robert? I'm not chasing it. They've already signed Myles Gaskin and Darrell Henderson. He doesn't catch the ball. He was a backup running back in college. I'm not spending fab money on him. I'm not chasing it. James Cook, Rashad White, who's been really bad. Roshan Johnson, Z Evans, Foreman, Hunt. Pick two. I'm going to go Hunt and Cook. Hunt's been good on a per touch basis. My opponent traded Devontae Smith for James Cook, had Kareem Hunt starting. Prior thoughts. That's fair. Two guys that are going through some struggles right now. I think it's an okay move. I traded Saquon for Chase, Puka for Pollard. I have Klopp, T. Higgins, and Jones. Oh yeah, Gavin, that works. I see what you did there. Rashad White's so tough. Yeah, Rashad White is just not a good runner. So last year he didn't average 4 yards per carry. He catches a lot of passes. I think what we're going to see with Rashad White going forward is that, and even throughout the rest of his career, he's going to be a third down back. That's just what he looks like to me. Who do I start? Hunt or Ford? I would probably go Hunt because he's probably going to get the goal line carries. How you like the Lions upsetting Ravens this week? Listen, the Ravens team is really good. I'm not, I think it's a very even matchup. It's a very intriguing matchup, but I respect the hell out of the Ravens. No doubt about it. Why doesn't any team like Lombardi, Lenny? Jermaine, here's the thing with Lenny. So he was out of shape when he was working out for the Patriots at the end of the summer. And I think that left a bad taste. Coaches talk, right? If he was overweight coming off a bad season and he's got a lot of mileage on him, he really looks like himself, just a third down back at this point. That's probably why. Should I roll with Kansas D or Seattle? I would go with Kansas City's D. Ritter, Baker, or Carr, lost Richardson and Fields. Wow. Not Baker. I'd have to say maybe Carr because if Lawrence plays, this has the potential of being an aerial shootout because you have a lot of high-end wideouts. Like there's uber talent on both sides in terms of the wide receivers. It has that potential. Lost by 0.4 this week to the Justin Herbert interception. Devastating loss. Wow. Oh man, M. John, that's rough. Oh my God. I'm usually on the opposite ends. I'm usually on the losing end of those, but I had a win this week when I won by 2 points, having starting Patrick Taylor, who's since been cut by the Packers, a third string running back, when Aaron Jones missed that Monday night game. I'll never forget that. Like that was just ridiculous. He literally I was losing on the last possession, a minute and change to go, and he caught a dump off pass that for 5 yards, that gave me the win. Like I was so stoked. You think Antonio Brown would ever come back? No, he just got arrested or in trouble with something with his child support. And I have to be honest with you guys, Antonio Brown to me was one of my favorite players to ever own in fantasy football. He was unreal he was with Pittsburgh. He is on the Mount Rushmore of fantasy wideouts. There's no doubt about it. No matter what you think of Antonio Brown, the guy was fucking awesome when he was with the Steelers. Excuse my language. He just was. And I actually feel bad for him. I really do, because I do think, there was that one hit that he took a couple of years ago, a really, really gruesome hit to the helmet. I think that's messed him up. I think if they ever opened up his brain, it would be mush, like CTE galore, like Antonio Brown. He just seems like a classic case of a guy who's had some major, major malfunctioning in his brain from playing football. And I think it's really sad. Like, I really do think he's troubled mentally. That interception was rough. KC defense, Cleveland. Cleveland's been really good. I have to give them the nod there. Laporta or Andrews? I'm still going Andrews. Drop Akers, Quentin Johnson, or Charbonnet. I would drop Quentin Johnson. Yeah, CTE, man. Not good. Um, yes, I am starting Rice. Listen, Rasheed Rice has been in the teens, I think, in most of his games. I know the snap share is going to just keep getting better, guys. It's Andy Reid. Like Andy Reid knows what he's doing. So as far as Rasheed Rice, so week 1, he scored 11.6. Then he only had 4 week 2, but then 10.9, 6.2, 13.3, 11.2. So he's been, consistently in the lower teens at 50% snap share. But here's the key. If you follow analytics and advanced stats, Rasheed Rice is one of the most productive receivers in football. He's in the top 5 or 6 in targets per snap. Okay, so when he's out there, he's drawing targets. And as Matthew Berry always says, the go to fantasy, drawing targets is a skill. It is absolutely a skill. And Rasheed Rice, he is screaming out breakout. He is absolutely screaming breakout, no doubt about it. Roshan Johnson could, yeah. I mean, he could be good, but listen, Khalil Herbert, like I said, is not going anywhere. Yeah, I think we're at the point where we drop Geno Smith. Has the glass slipper, fallen off? Maybe. Yes, thank you, Lex. Drop a like. Yeah, Antonio Brown has some problems, and I'm reading a book right now on the 1986 Giants, and a lot of these guys are really messed up, like Harry Carson and Lawrence Taylor for all the crap that he was doing. Mark Bavaro, who had a really, really severe case of COVID, because what COVID does is it attacks the weakest part of your body. And for Bavaro, his wife believes it was his brain that was being attacked, and he almost killed himself, Mark Bavaro, because he was going mad. He literally said he was going crazy because COVID was attacking his brain, and with all the concussions that he had, that's where it was attacking. So really scary stuff. Your Patrick Taylor catch was the catch for first down, went under review because yes, that's right. That is absolutely right, Jermaine. And it was, I couldn't believe that actually happened. That I had to use him, and B, that he did that right at the end of the game. And he was cut the next day. Who to roster the rest of the season, Palmer or Curtis Samuel? Palmer. Palmer got targets, and listen, he scored a touchdown. It just got brought back on, one of the 10,000 penalties that were called yesterday. Yeah, thanks, JK. Yeah, you know what? I have Italian blood in me, and I'm from New York, so there's a double whammy right there in terms of the language, right? Can't help it. Yeah, keep the expect. I'll try to clean up the F word, but the rest of it, I can't promise you anything there. But yeah, it's crazy. So, like I said, this season is a marathon for sure. Just getting through it with all of these injuries, that's really the determining factor, I think, who wins fantasy football, like more than the roster that you assemble. Like you need that depth now. The teams with the best depth are going to wind up winning. And what I used to do is I used to always deplete my depth to stack a trade to offer 2-for-1s, and that's usually how I would do it, and left myself susceptible. Well, I think I need to start fixing that going forward. Sorry about if I missed it. What's happening with Jeff Wilson? I think he's going to be activated this week, and he's going to move ahead of Salvon Ahmed. And I think it's going to be like a 60-40 split. Jeff Wilson was really good last year for Miami. So he's not going away. Like Mike McDaniels obviously knows what he's doing. He knows Raheem Mostert's injury history. And like we said with Christian McCaffrey and Kyron Williams, you overwork these guys and the injuries are going to happen. So I think he knows he has to dial it back, Raheem Mostert, and Jeff Wilson, and not Salvon Ahmed, is the guy who can pick up the slack. Hey, South, how are you? Top of the afternoon to you. Would you play Gibbs if healthy? Yes, I would this week. Yes. I would flex him. Hoping to get to the playoffs in both my leagues, and 4-2 the other 3. Yes, so I'm 5-1 in both, but it's a different 5-1. One 5-1 going south, one 5-1 going north. Should I drop Daniel Jones for Zach Wilson? Oh my God, Zach Wilson, really? I mean, it's a super flex. I guess you should. Daniel Jones, that offense is completely broken right now. Listen, we got to make tough calls. Zach Wilson is just a horrible quarterback, though. Like, it's bad when you're praised for not turning the ball over. Like that's how low the bar is with Zach Wilson, that they praise him. And listen, that was a really gutty win by the Jets. Like somebody here in New York who's seen them pretty much every week, That was one of the guttiest wins I've ever seen the Jets have. Like, it was really that good. But Zach Wilson is just terrible at football. Start, sit, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, 1 flex. Chase, also on the buy, also 4 GT. Start, sit, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. I would start Godwin and Olave for sure. And then I would start Jacobs and JT. Would you drop Eagles defense to get Browns? Yeah, Browns defense has been awesome, so I would do that. Don't drop Tajay. Do not drop Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears could really be a league winner. It's so obvious how good this guy is. Would you drop Geno for Jordan Love? Yeah. Geno Smith is no longer somebody that you need to hold on to. Flex 1, Ford, Rice, Gibbs, or Watson. Wow. Gosh, I'd have to say Gibbs if he plays. A little late, Calvin Ridley lost cause? No, he's not a lost cause. He's absolutely not a lost cause. He's been really good in 3 games. The talent is obvious. He's in the right offense. They're just spreading the ball around a little bit more. Trade Henry for Brian Robinson and Kittle. Non-PPR. Does Kittle? No, I don't think I would do that. Henry's playing well again, but Kittle will come around. The offense hasn't been great, but I wouldn't do that. I definitely wouldn't do that. Would you Antonio Gibson? No, I'm not waiting on Antonio Gibson. Start Jordan Mason over Rashad White. Yeah, but the problem is it's a Monday night game, Ronald, so you're going to have to make a really tough call ahead of time. Judy or Deontay this week, PPR. Deontay. Jerry Judy needs to get traded. Oh, and that's the other thing, guys. So we really need to, and I'm just looking at something now on the news for injuries. I think that Marvin Mims is somebody we also should pick up because there's a chance Jerry Judy or Cortland Sutton will be traded. And that's just going to open up opportunity for Marvin Mims, who has a world of talent. Like sometimes it's obvious when you watch a guy know that he has burgeoning talent, and that's what Marvin Mims is. What's your opinion in his Rams backfield? Jermaine, I'm not touching any of them. I'm not touching Evans. They brought in all these other guys. Kyron Williams is only going to miss 1 week. There's no point unless you're extremely desperate. I'd rather have Craig Reynolds this week off waivers than any of the other guys. So, but anyway, all right. So I think I'm going to jump out, guys. Long stream today. Thank you again for the super chats. Thank you guys again for the support. Check out my bust video if you haven't seen that. I put that up earlier today. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Already tomorrow's Wednesday. We're almost ready for week 7 to kick off. We've got to get through this By-Mageddon, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. So enjoy your night. Take care, and I will see you all tomorrow.